Hey, PreSales Collective, it's your host, James Kakis, and today I'm going to be joined by Courtney Flickwir, Member Experience Manager here at the PreSales Collective. The topic of today's episode is Rearchitecting the Experience. This is a long-awaited episode that I am so excited is coming to life today on the podcast. PreSales Collective is a little over 2 years old now. We have over 20,000 people across the globe, and there are so many different ways to digest and be engaged with the PreSales Collective. And at times, it can be a bit overwhelming. So we've been working on re-architecting the experience. Earlier in 2022, we did a number of podcasts that talked about re-architecting our experience and what was to come. And that day is finally here. So today, you're going to hear from the magician behind the screen, Courtney, who has been focused on re-architecting our experience since she's been hired. She has done an incredible job. So what you see on the website, what you see in the Member Hub is her vision coming to life. So we're going to talk about what re-architecting the experience means, why we did it, and what is in it for the members in your overall member experience. Enjoy.
It shouldn't take weeks to create a custom demo. You've got a deal on the line, and momentum is everything. DemoStack lets you spin up a tailored demo environment in minutes, so you can showcase your product in the best light on every call. It's as close as it gets to the real thing, but now you can edit content with a point and click to craft a story that resonates. No code needed. This means less time on admin and more time impacting deals. Make the live demo count with DemoStack. Learn more at demostack.com.
Courtney Flickwir, welcome to the PreSales podcast. How are you today?
James Kakis, I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. We've got a lot of really great things happening here at the PreSales Collective. As you know,
It is a whirlwind of activity here. Yes, it is.
never a dull moment. But it's so good to have you on the podcast and really to introduce you to the community because you've been with PreSales Collective for a couple months now and have made an immense impact, which we're going to talk about today on the collective, on the community, and really on how we're providing a better member experience. So I'm excited for people to get to know you.
I am so excited. I can't wait to talk to them about what we're doing, what's been happening behind the scenes. So let's get into it.
So you've been at the PreSales Collective for a few months now. I'm putting you on the spot. No wrong or right answers here. What has your experience been like?
I can't say enough good things about the experience I've had with PSC so far. Just a few months in, I hit the ground running, but coming into a community and a company of people who truly value the same things has been really amazing. I think each of us truly believes in the vision and mission that you and UG created a couple of years ago. And even though I didn't come from a pre-sales background, I feel like my respect for the pre-sales profession basically grew overnight. The moment I learned what this was, I was like, oh my God, these people, what we provide this community is amazing. And it really just resonates with me. And I have enjoyed every second of being a part of this. I really think that we provide the community something that has otherwise been ignored and undervalued for so long. We're changing the game. And I feel like that's a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
It is. And you've done a great job. And you mentioned this as like seeing and hearing and feeling the value that PreSales Collective is adding to the profession. And you got to go to your first in-person community event in Austin. So what was that experience like for you?
Talking with the people one-on-one, face-to-face finally, right? Like we're back to face-to-face events was something that really put all the pieces of the puzzle together for me. This is why we're doing what we're doing. I heard stories of people whose lives basically changed because they got into the pre-sales profession and we have helped them get there. We've supported them along the way. Our community has supported them, answered their questions. It was just so cool to hear from so many different levels of leadership to individual contributors and just how we've been helping them.
It is incredible. And I talked about this last week with Kevin. Like you said, just hearing the stories in person, face to face, it's just amazing to see the support that the pre-sales profession is lending to each other. And as someone like yourself who doesn't come from pre-sales and seeing this amazing collaborative group of professionals come together, it's just incredible. And I feel fortunate that PreSales Collective has been on this amazing journey over the last 2 years.
We are a community that's made by and for the pre-sales profession and the role, like we couldn't do this without every other person in our community.
You're so right. And as we get into today's episode of Rearchitecting the Experience, I want to talk about your background because as you mentioned, you are not from pre-sales. You are actually our first non-pre-sales hire, yourself and Shauna shortly after. So talk about your career journey. Like what got you to where you are today?
So I started out as a community and events manager for a personal development company, loved that. But going through that role, I really grew an appreciation for the importance of the entire overarching member experience and how those pieces come together from the beginning to the end, how we can make it just a seamless, beautiful experience. I love understanding that. Community events was just one piece of that bigger picture. So I love seeing that holistic experience be brought to life, all the pieces of the puzzles being put together. I love understanding what drives motivation and engagement with a company or a community. It allows us to provide so much value to the members when you really dive into that. So I kind of pivoted from community and events into that greater member experience, just because you get to really see from like the 1,000-foot view down and see how you can make it even better.
So Shauna, your experience with member experience is unbelievable. And let's be very open and transparent. At the time that we posted our role, we only posted a role for a community events manager. Both you and Shauna actually applied for that role. And what was interesting about the application process is that you both were phenomenal fits for the organization. But our next role that we were going to hire was a member experience manager. And again, transparently, I was just too busy and overloaded to run two processes at the same time. So the plan was run one, then the other. And funny enough, you and Shauna both came to us in the right roles for the two of you and your skill set. So that had to be a really interesting experience for you.
Yeah. So the coolest thing about this, and I'll tell you, I love telling people this story, is community and events was a passion of mine when I first started my career. But as I grew into this member experience role in my old company, it was really something that I was passionate about and I really wanted to grow into. So the fact that I was provided this opportunity was almost like a meant to be situation. And I just couldn't have been more happy than when you gave me that call on that Monday afternoon. You're like, hey, wait a minute, we've got something else for you. And I was like, I can't say no to this. Absolutely.
I still remember making that call because based off your experience, right, and Shauna's experience, it was just very similar, but different in other ways and complementary and like exactly what we needed. And with this war for talent and great resignation and how hard it is to hire people, we were in a position where there was two people that were outstanding candidates and both fit the next two job openings that we had. And I was still kind of nervous. I was like, well, her expertise is in member experience. I feel like this is the better role for her. Hopefully she'll be interested. And so the rest is history.
Exactly. That's why I'm here today.
We are so happy to have you and Shauna. The two of you are incredible humans. You're massive contributors to the community, and you both have made impact from day one. We gave you big projects to take over, and you've accomplished them. And let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, I don't think we could do it without the support of the rest of you guys on the team. So I want to shout out all of you because you've made this such a great team to be a part of.
Oh, thank you. So let's talk about this re-architecting the experience. Prior to this project, what was the experience like and where were the problems?
When I came on, really dove into this, I really think that our community, the support and the resources we provide from that perspective, that experience was fantastic. However, going back to you can't get what we provide anywhere else, you can get those resources, that content. But I do believe a few problems, I don't even think I call them problems. I just think of them as opportunities for improvement, but just how we onboard new members and how we really let them sink into our community and all that we have to offer, really providing that support and that direction to engage them in the community, get them involved, hit the ground running as fast as they can so that they can start leveling up their skills and getting the support that they really need for this role. That's kind of where our room for opportunity was.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because you came into this community as first-time user experience. And really, if I look at it, you would be someone who would be an aspiring pre-sales professional. And how did you engage and interact with the community? The reality is that life has been really busy for everyone. Personal life, professional life, COVID situation, moving into a hybrid world. And I like to joke, some people have heard me say this, I'm in pre-sales la la land. My job is to help support pre-sales professionals, and I live and die. I breathe pre-sales collective. So obviously I know everything that goes on in this community, the value proposition for everything that we do. But the reality is that I am the founder and there's 20,000 people plus in this community that have so many other obligations that they only might be able to give us
a fraction of their time.
It's overwhelming.
It can be. And I also think you and Yuji have been so in it. And I think having the rest of the team come on and me come on in this role really allows that room for seeing things from different angles and where we can tweak and adjust as we go. And I think that's the beauty about this team. We all work together really in that way.
I always like to talk about why. So like, why are we architecting the experience?
To answer that question, like obviously really want to deliver the best frictionless experience possible. I love the word frictionless. I'm probably going to use that a couple of times because I really do feel like limiting those barriers to this information in this community is so, so important. I think the profession is really changing in such a great way. And because there is this growing awareness of how critical this role is, this pre-sales role, we need to provide an experience that supports that growth and that change. And as we tweak and adjust our content to really match the needs of this growing profession and just helping them. And again, I use support a lot, but that's what we're providing. We are providing the tools and the resources to really succeed in this career, in this role.
You said that so well, and you've articulated the current situation. So let's talk about what's happening. What is actually changing?
So much is happening. So we have launched the redesigned website, and the aim of that project was really to bring more awareness and visibility to what PSC provides the pre-sales community. It allows people who are just discovering this role to understand how they can get involved, participate in our community, and grow into this role so they can kind of change their lives. From what I've heard, using our support and getting into this pre-sales profession really changes people's lives. And for me, that's just the most exciting part about it. The website will also be a home for those who want to be like, hey, my colleague or my team member should really learn more about PSC. So that redesigned website makes things easier to find, information about us to find. Secondly, we have created a super special member hub that really puts everything under one roof. It provides that cohesive experience we're really striving for. The hub houses all of our PSC content, events, news, announcements, anything you can imagine, you name it, it is in there. So if you're running around like a typical pre-sales professional does, and you've missed a webinar or you're looking for some content, love and support, you can find that all under that member hub. You know exactly where to come to find it. And then third, we're really fine-tuning that onboarding experience. Again, we're limiting those barriers. We're giving them direction, giving them more support and encouragement. So that's where we're going. And I'm super, super excited about it.
Courtney, you have done a phenomenal job spearheading this project. I mean, it has been incredible work. Again, we put a pretty big project on your plate when you came on board. That's an understatement. Was that, hey, you just started. We're going to launch a new website and a member hub and a redesigned Slack experience, plus all of our new onboarding campaigns. And it needs to launch at the end of March or early April. Welcome.
Yeah. Yep. I welcomed it. I said, bring it on. Let's do it.
And I love that you jumped in. You talked to community members. You did surveys. You know, we did this with data. We did not just decide how things were before in full transparency, where James is like, oh, you know, I think we should probably do this. I'm hearing this in some conversations. Let's go do it. But the reality is it's a lot more change management now than people realize, because there are literally thousands and thousands of people of all different pre-sales experiences engaging in this community, and it just needs to be more digestible. And for you to lead the member hub and just have it in one central location, it's a game changer.
It's easy to use. You don't have to think too hard about where to find anything. It is right there at your fingertips.
It's frictionless.
Exactly. That's my new word.
Yuji is a fantastic designer and has done so well with the website. And, you know, really, we never made any updates on the website, even though we knew that we had to. We focused in other places. But some of the things that you did is there's a lot more why and there's a lot more how. It's a lot easier to digest the content on the website. There's not a million different pages. And you can actually start to see members of the community and stories highlighted on the website. So that's been amazing for me. I really appreciate all that you've done there.
Thank you. Yeah. I couldn't have thought of a better way to join this company than, like we were just saying, I hit the ground running the moment I came on, and having those member interviews and reading those member stories was probably the best way I could have been introduced to pre-sales and the PSC in general. So those are super important to me.
It is. And I appreciate you saying that, Courtney, right? Because I brought this up last week with Kevin, but a lot of people are like, oh, why would you quit your job at Salesforce to go and do this? But the stories that we hear, I can't say this enough. I could say this on every podcast. It is incredible hearing what people have to say in terms of impact that's been made by other people, the ability just to help each other out. And again, this community is for pre-sales professionals. This is what we want to continue to do. We want to highlight them. They're on the website. They run the events. They're highlighted, their thought leadership. But as we talk about the members, more importantly, what is in it for them when we talk about the website and the member hub?
So we provide a lot here at PSC between events, blogs, podcasts, resources, ways to interact with our community, live events, I could go on and on. It can be kind of confusing or overwhelming. So I think having everything in one place and having a very clear, streamlined experience on where to find this, where to find that, how to get those resources as fast as possible. So you don't have to spend so much time away from your actual job looking on how to level up those skills. I think it's, again, an easy to use experience, easy to use member hub, easy to engage, and easy to grow in your role. I think that's really what's in it for all of our, 20,000 and growing members.
You articulated that so well. I mean, that's the point. We are in so many different places and we need to make it consumable in a single location. People don't understand how much work has gone behind the scenes, right? We've been kind of quiet about it, made some mentions of it of the podcast in early January 2022. But what has been maybe the most challenging part of the redesign for you?
I think the most, challenging, I'm going to say interesting, is just coming into this role, onboarding in my role, into this position, into this profession, while also having all the moving pieces of designing a member hub, redesigning a website, managing about 6 different people underneath me to help and support me. I could not have done it without them, truly. But yeah, I think that's been the most interesting and very much a learning experience. There are so many levels and layers to redesigning this experience. And it's just going to grow and get better as we grow and get better. So that process is never ending. The more we learn from our community members and the more the roles change. And I just think not a challenge, but interesting, just watching all those moving pieces and managing them. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize how many people work and are involved with the PreSales Collective. So we obviously have 7 full-time roles. We have an 8th open, but we have almost a dozen part-time people and freelancers helping out. Actually, it might be even more than that. It might be closer to a dozen and a half working behind the scenes to make PreSales Collective happen.
And they are amazing. And I can't tell you how many times I have pinged them on Slack for help and support. So a big shout out to all of them.
I appreciate that you talked about the redesign, but I thought the most challenging part was going to be that you had to do demo of the member hub. So just to give some context to the audience, with PreSales Leadership Collective, when new companies come on board, we do a member call for those companies. And we talk about PreSales Collective, PreSales Leadership Collective, the value and the benefits that they get as members of our executive group. And then we did a demo of the member hub. And you were doing the demo to a bunch of PreSales leaders and executives. And I felt like, this is like the hardest job ever for Courtney.
It's so funny you say that. The first time I did it, I didn't even know what a demo was. Let's talk about that. I didn't even know these people were the experts of all things demo. And so here I am just clicking around my screen, showing them the member hub and thinking I'm doing this great job. And then I stop sharing my screen. You're like, wow, you just did your first demo for the king and queen of demo here. And I'm like, had you told me that before I started, I would have had a full-blown panic attack. I wouldn't have been able to form words. Yes, that's a good point. That was a challenge, but I think I took that challenge on because I didn't know any better. So we were okay with that.
I was a little bit worried. I was like, is she going to do a point and click demo? Is she going to talk value? You have a career as a pre-sales engineer.
Thank you. If this doesn't work out, I'll go to that.
This has already worked out, but you could do it. So Courtney, you've talked a lot about hearing the stories and highlighting the members, but what has been your favorite part of this project?
I get really inspired by understanding how people engage with us and what really brings them the most value. So I think working toward providing that really curated experience for our current members as well as incoming members, what has been my favorite part. Again, I'll go back to this community being created for and by pre-sales professionals. And I feel like I got to co-create basically this experience by working one-on-one with them. So getting into interviews and reading people's feedback and just working one-on-one with certain community members was my favorite part. Absolutely.
It is great to be hands-on. And again, as we've mentioned a few times, the community played a major role in this redesign as well. Spoiler alert, we do have a lot of things coming. I like to joke that if you know us at the PreSales Collective, we're never really slowing down. We're always continuing with what's next. And I think my favorite part about the Member Hub is that there now is this central location, but we have some good things coming.
Oh, we've got a great roadmap in the next couple of weeks and months to come. So some features we are rolling out, which this one is so cool to me. So we have a Slack integration with our member hub. And that means if you're on Slack every day for work, or you're not necessarily in Slack every day at all, you can go right to the member hub and see the most active and engaging conversation. So it makes it really easy to point and click and get to that conversation that's kind of answering a question of yours or resonating with you, or you think you can provide support. So I think that's a huge move for us because some people aren't in Slack, or some people are just in Slack for work and don't really want to take the time to do Slack for their own personal or professional development. So it makes it super easy. We also have a big events calendar coming out. That means you'll be able to see all of our future events for the next few months, plus any past events. You can just click right into that past event and see a recording of that. So if your schedule was busy and you had registered for that event but couldn't make it, it's right there at your fingertips. Another favorite piece of mine is our connections. So we're going to have one-on-one monthly connections. It's a dedicated online space to swap best practices and discuss challenges that maybe you might feel a little awkward discussing with your own team or leaders. You can meet people that are on the same playing field as you and just really grow that community and that support for yourself. And then we're going to be upgrading our job board. So if you're looking for a career or you're looking to hire some amazing pre-sales professionals, you can come all into this one-stop location for all of your pre-sales needs.
Thank you for going through the roadmap. As you mentioned, the member hub allows us to have a foundation. It allows us to have a foundation to build upon and expand. And again, a central place for people to engage. And there's so many things that we can layer into this, which is great. And then talking about connections, for those who were fans of Donut Virtual Coffee in Slack, we're moving to a different system that will actually take us out of Slack. It's a little bit more of email based so that we can make sure those connections are happening, relationships are building. Not to get ahead of ourselves too much, it'll be the foundation of a coaching or mentorship type program that will come in the coming months, probably to PreSales Leadership Collective first, but then to the community thereafter.
Yeah. And the great thing about the connections, just one more piece, is like, while virtual coffee was nice, I think what we're moving to provides a little more of a personalized experience for you. So you can really connect with people that will help you.
In addition to our in-person events and potential conferences, there is a lot of good coming around this profession.
So much fun stuff. Yep.
So Courtney, this member hub is incredible. It's a one-stop shop, frictionless experience for our members, but there might be some areas of improvement. The website can potentially be improved. The member hub can be improved. We want the community to give us feedback on things that they like, love, want to see more, less of. So how should they provide that?
So I love feedback. I will say that is the only way we can get better, is the only way we know what we are doing right, and it's the only way we can provide the most value for our members. So there's a really quick feedback form right in the hub. It shouldn't take more than 2 minutes, maybe. But also, if you want to talk with me personally, I love that too. So you can reach out to me directly on Slack if you want to. We can discuss any questions you have or a little bit more about your experience and just what you're looking for and what makes the experience good for you.
PreSales Collective is a culture of feedback. We did a podcast about this early on about culture of feedback. I believe we, as an internal organization, really rely on a culture of feedback, and then externally with the community as well, because you've said it so many times, like this is a community that is driven by the community. We don't sit here and make decisions on what we need to do. We take the input from people and we disseminate the information, the data, and then we bring it back through different mediums. Courtney, you have just been an incredible addition to the team. Your impact is palpable. This new website, member experience, Slack experience, it's just incredible. And we just could not have done this without you. So I wanted to say thank you and really introduce you to the community because you're such a vital piece of what we're doing. And our member experience team is only going to be growing. And I'm excited to see that over the coming months and years.
Thank you, James. And all I have to say is it's only going to get better from here. And I can't wait to see what the future has in store. So thanks to the PSC team and the PSC community.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me on the podcast. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Thanks, James.
All right, PreSales Collective. So if you haven't already signed into the member hub, please do so. Use your primary email in which you get PreSales Collective emails from our Beyond the Demo or any local communication and sign into that member hub to see that unified, frictionless experience that Courtney mentioned. As a founder, one of my favorite parts about what we do is highlighting the members of our team that are making an impact. And Courtney has made a tremendous impact since she started in January of 2022. This was a massive project. I mean, we joked about it on the podcast, but this had a lot of moving pieces for someone who had to learn the profession and understand what we were trying to re-architect with our new experience. And Courtney has just done an amazing job of immersing herself into the profession, into the community, and giving back through this amazing member hub and website redesign. And so as she mentioned, we want feedback. Please reach out to her, give her your thoughts, give her your advice, because she is an amazing member experience manager. And what we will continue to do with this team within the community is only going to get better and better for you at the end of the day. And so whether you love it, you like it, you don't like it, you want to see more or less of something, please reach out to Courtney to give her that feedback. But also, I do have an ask of the community. Reach out to Courtney and just say thanks. It goes a really long way. Yes, this is her job, right? This is her day to day, but the energy that she's put into this project to bring this experience to life is just amazing. And I want to make sure she is recognized for what she has done for the pre-sales community. So our pre-sales collective, I'll see you in the member hub. I'll see you on the Spring World Tour, and I'll see you next week.